This case is critical to protecting mothers and children. And I know members of Catholic Vote are going to be excited about getting involved in this fight.
I first learned of what was going on in this case behind the scenes some time back. And as I began to learn more before this became public, I was shocked to learn about the magnitude and the horrific nature of this coerced abortion crisis. To help us unpack this, we're going to hear from Harold Cassidy. He was asked by this group of women to help assemble the legal team that is championing their case, this landmark lawsuit filed in Minnesota. This case is so important.
First of all, it's a mother's rights case. It's a woman's rights case. And it is brought by 3 women who were subjected to abortions they did not want, 2 pregnancy help centers, their medical directors, NIFLA, which is the National Organization of Pregnancy Help Centers. Those are the plaintiffs, and they're courageous. They came forward because they want to say it's time to end the exploitation of the women, the forcing women to have abortions they didn't want, bring an end to coerced, involuntary, uninformed abortions where mothers lose their children. So these women come forward, not because they can save their babies, they've lost their children, but they've come forward to help other women, to prevent other women from suffering the losses that they have. The complaint has been filed. It's 240 pages. I'm going to hold it up, okay? It is a massive indictment, not just of Minnesota law, which it is, and not just of the governor, Waltz, and the other 6 public officials, but also Planned Parenthood and the entire abortion industry.
What really started to stir me to realize how significant this was when you shared with me verbally, and then you passed along some of the affidavits for me to read, the stories, the compelling stories, the plaintiffs, some of these courageous women who are coming forward. Could you share 1 or 2 of those to help us understand what these mothers endured and how their stories really illuminate everything that's at stake right now?
It's very, very common for women to be dragged to an abortion clinic and forced to have abortions they don't want. We have examples, we have stories from women who submitted affidavits where there was force, physical force, assaults, women where the man took a gun to her and made her go into the abortion clinic. There was a woman, 28, living with a man who's 48. She becomes pregnant. He demands an abortion. She says no. He demands an abortion. She says no. He makes her, in the middle of January, in 10-degree weather, sleep in a car for 10 nights until she agrees to go to an abortion clinic. In order to survive, she goes to the abortion clinic and she gets on the phone on speaker, and all the workers hear her, all the Planned Parenthood workers hear her, begging this man not to make her have an abortion. She's crying. She makes the call 4 times. They do the abortion anyway. One of the plaintiffs, Alexandra, her boyfriend insisted she have an abortion. She went to a pregnancy help center and had him go there to try to convince him not to make her do it. He dragged her there anyway. And she realized that she had known that if she was given the mifepristone to start the abortion, without anyone knowing it, she could go to a doctor and get progesterone. The defendant, Red River, which is an abortion facility in Minnesota, where she was dragged, they made her take both drugs. The second drug, which expelled the baby and destroyed her chance to save the baby's life and to save her relationship with her child. We have in the record an affidavit from George Zally, the father of a beautiful 21-year-old college woman. Unbeknownst to her parents, she was pregnant, and her college boyfriend's father made her get an abortion. They didn't understand why she became so depressed and suicidal, and then George found her hanging from a ceiling fan in her bedroom with a note. Now I can be with my unborn child. All states are bound by the constraints of the 14th Amendment. In this particular case, the case identifies 4 different rights that pregnant mothers have that are violated by these Minnesota laws. That 14th Amendment applies to every single state in the Union. A ruling in the 8th Circuit is binding on all 7 states in that circuit. If and when the case goes to the Supreme Court, the likelihood of which depends on how the Eighth Circuit rules, it could be cross petitions, it'll be binding everywhere. I have an analogy that I like, and if you heard me say this, David, forgive me. But before Dobbs, the pro-life community was playing with their back to their own goal line, on the 3 or 4 yard line. Dobbs got us to the 35, our own 35. Since then, we've been knocked back to the 25, for those of us who are trying to really protect the rights of mothers and the children that they love. This case will get us in the red zone. It'll knock out, if we win, and we should, the law's on our side. The facts are on our side. The Eighth Circuit is a particularly good circuit for us in the sense that they're fair. It's a 10-to-1 court. They'll hear us, they'll listen to us. And that's all we want. We get a court to listen, we will win. And it'll knock out probably 85% of all the abortions everywhere. And then the rest of the job can be completed. We're the defenders of the woman's rights. They're the destroyers of the rights. The interests of the mother and child are aligned. They're one and the same. It's a sacred relationship. When we win this case, we're not asking now, because we don't think the courts are ready now, asking the court to rule that every single solitary abortion is unconstitutional. But certainly every uninformed, involuntary, misled death of a child is unconstitutional.
A handful of donors have invested enormous resources to get to this point. As some of the first people to learn about what's really going on in this case, we're inviting you to prayerfully discern what your role is to stand with these courageous mothers, these women plaintiffs, and the rights that they are championing for other mothers and the relationship with their children. And we have a huge announcement to kind of set the stage for this here. And I was blown away when Josh and his team told me this, but a Catholic Vote donor who wants to remain anonymous has put forward a $500,000 matching challenge, literally $500,000, so that every dollar that you and I invest tonight in standing with these women to help champion their rights and the rights of other mothers and their relationship with their children will be doubled dollar for dollar up to $500,000. Every gift that you give to stand with these mothers will be tax deductible to the fullest extent allowed by law. So what an amazing opportunity to not only give with the tax deductibility, also to have your money doubled up to $500,000, and to know that doubles the impact of accelerating this case so that the resources are brought to bear to fight against Planned Parenthood. It's millions and hundreds of millions of dollars, and the attorneys, that everything else they've got. We can be the David together. And you got to remember who won that fight when David, I love his name, got those smooth stones in his sling and was able to take out Goliath. We've got a shot here tonight to take out Goliath significantly, knock him on his knees,